SoundHound is down around 43% in the last 3 months and around 75% since the peak in December 2024. However, it looks as if this stock is finding support around about the $6.30 level and maybe trying to make a move to the upside. Now, there is great potential on offer here for a potential trade. So in this video, I want to analyze SoundHound's price action, look at some key levels, and also discuss the potential trading opportunity. Let's take a look. So on the weekly chart, we can see here that SoundHound has fallen significantly since this price peak in December 2024, around about 75% into this key price low here, which is around $6.52. So it's down 75% since the peak in December, and also it's down around 43% in the last 3 months. In the last month, however, it's up 16% with a slight pullback last week. So looking at the price action, we can see since the peak in December, SoundHound has been trending downwards, but it does look as if price has found support at around this $6.50 level. And now in the last 3 to 4 weeks, it's trying to make a move towards the upside. So first, I want to mark up some key price levels on the chart just to see where this stock has changed direction in the past. So the first level you can see I've marked up here is 93 cents, which is the all-time low for SoundHound. I've also marked up $1.50, this line here, which corresponds to this significant price low back in October 2023. It also came close here and found support in March 23. Next level you can see on the chart I've marked up here is $5, which is a really key level for SoundHound. You can see that after it listed back here and fell heavily, came into the all-time low and pushed up, it found resistance at $5 in February 2023. It also fell away, came back up to find resistance at that same $5 level also in June 2023. And it was only until February 24 did it break through that $5 level to create this significant high here. And this $10.20 level corresponding to the peak in March 24 is another key level that I've marked up on the chart. And you can see the next level I've marked up here is $25, which corresponds to the most recent peak for SoundHound, which was in December 2024. And as I mentioned previously, since this significant peak, it has fallen away around about 75% into this most recent low here of $6.50. So we'll also mark up that $6.50 as well on the chart, corresponding to the most recent low, which was about 4 weeks ago. So based on our key levels on the chart, I want to just call out 3 levels of interest around the current price action. And these are $6.50, the most recent low, this peak over here of $10.30, where it's come off that significant low of $6.50, found resistance, and currently now it's just having a slight pullback, and it's in between these 2 markers here. Now you can see the potential upside here for SoundHound is quite significant from the $10.20 level up to the most recent peak of $25. Between these key levels of $10.20 and $25, there's a potential upside of 142%. So for a potential trading opportunity, this is significant upside. So I've just zoomed in on the chart slightly because I want to examine this downtrend for SoundHound from the recent peak in December 2024 into the recent low here where it found support at $6.50. Now, I want to put a trend line on this price action because potentially we can use it to make a trading decision. But before I do that, I want to just count. We've got actually 12 bars going in the direction of the trend. And for me, this is the rule I use to confirm there is a trend present and I can go ahead and potentially add a trend line. So let's count the bars. So here's my bar 0, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we've got 12 bars here going in the direction of the trend. However, this red bar didn't take out this low here. So we need to go to bar 13 and then bar 14, this bar here, to confirm the downtrend. So now we've got the trend present, we can go ahead and add a trend line. And for my rules of the trend line, I normally like to apply that line tight towards at least 2 peaks, ideally 3 peaks. In this case, we've got the peak here, the second peak here, and also this peak here. So it's looking pretty good. And I always like to keep that trend line within 2% of the peak, so it's nice and tight. It's important when you add a trend line, it wants to be as valid as possible, because if you're going to use it in your trading decisions, it needs to be nice and tight. So if we zoom in on SoundHound and look at this downtrend, we can see with the trend line present that SoundHound has trended downwards, found support at this key level of 650, and when it hit that level, it did form a big green reversal bar. So we can see that buyers have come in and price is starting to move up, and potentially there is a trend reversal happening. Now this big green up bar has created this price peak here, which corresponds to the key level of $10.21. So there appears to be some resistance there at $10.21. Since the peak, we do have one inside bar, and potentially this week, the week hasn't finished yet. I'm recording this on a Wednesday. Potentially we do have a red down bar. So price is pulling back since the peak of $9.97. Now typically on a price breakout, especially with a trend line break, price action tends to do something like this. Price first breaks the trend line with buyers coming in, buying up the stock. And then after a few weeks, it's always good to see what the sellers have got, how many red bars there will be after that first peak. Now, ideally, we want to see perhaps 1 or 2 red bars, but the price not fall more than 50% to show that the move upwards is going to be sustainable and the buyers are in control. So we can see on this week's bar, price did open higher and it's closing nearby the open. The low of this week's bar currently is sitting around $8.72. So for buyers to stay in control, I wouldn't want this price to fall much more than this $8.72. We don't want it to fall more than around 50% of this green bar here to indicate strength. And to confirm an entry with SoundHound potentially in the next few weeks, what we need to see is for buyers to come in aggressively and push the price up, breaking the previous peak here of $9.97. And the peak of $9.97 created a few weeks ago is pretty close to this key level of $10.22, which was created by this peak back in March 24. So it looks as if there's some short-term resistance here, and what we want to see to confirm there is a trading opportunity, we want to see buyers come back in and buy up the stock and push price beyond this $10.22 key level. So essentially we want to see the price pull back and then break through this level to show buyers in control. So over the next few weeks, you want to see buyers coming in aggressively, pushing the price up, and for a nice, long, strong green bar to push through this level of 10.22 and close the other side of this line. This will confirm buyers are in control, and based on your rules, it might constitute a buy entry rule. Now, following this buy entry, there is huge potential on offer for a medium-term trade. So you can see on the chart an entry above 10.22 and a trade moving up to the next key level of around $25 would offer a potential of 140% profit, which is very, very good. And we can see if we zoom out a bit on the weekly chart that there isn't any other price action in between this $10.20 level and the most recent peak. So if price can break out and build momentum and buyers come in, it doesn't look as if there's any resistance between these two levels here. which could offer a really good trading opportunity. So that's the upside potential for this potential trade with SoundHound. But what about the downside risk? I always think it's important to think about both directions. On the weekly chart, we can see SoundHound is long-term bullish. From the all-time low, it has moved up consistently, and you are able to form a long-term trend line as the price moved up. So you can see at the moment, the price action is quite a long way away from this potential trend line support. So there's always the risk that price may fall away and find support further down. And potentially there is another support level in between the level of $5 and $1.50, around about this price here of $3.50. So I'll mark that up. And you can see if price falls away and does find support at the long-term trend line, it also does correspond with that $3.50 level. So if price falls away, breaks this level here of $6.50, falls further, breaks $5, the next logical level of support could be this $3.50 level. So that's a real possibility. So if price can't break this level here of 10.22 and falls away, then it might do something like this. It'll fall away from this point here, perhaps fall straight through the $6.50 level, find a bit of support at $5, have a brief rally back to $6.50, and then potentially fall away to the support line of the long-term trend line. So both of these scenarios are possible, and we have to wait for confirmation on the chart. For confirmation that the trade is on with SoundHound, we need to see a break of this key level of 10.20 in the next few weeks. That will confirm that price is moving up, and there's a potential profit opportunity of 140% to this peak here of $25. Thanks for watching. See you next time.